The night was dark, covering the small village of Mbale like a thick blanket. The faint glow of the moon barely illuminated the dusty paths as a lone figure ran through the narrow alleys. His breaths were ragged, his body covered in wounds, and in the distance, the relentless sound of police sirens echoed. Ezra, once a feared crime lord, was now a fugitive. After a violent clash with a rival gang, he had become the hunted. Every road led to death or prison, except for one. As desperation clouded his mind, he saw a dimly lit house at the edge of the village. With no other choice, he knocked urgently. The door creaked open, revealing an older man, Mzee, the village elder. His eyes scanned the stranger with quiet suspicion. Ezra, panting, voice urgent, "Please, let me stay here for the night." Mzee, frowning, his tone firm. "Who are you?" Ezra, gritting his teeth, knowing he had no choice but to plead. "Just a man, running from trouble. I'll leave at dawn." A long silence stretched between them before Mzee sighed deeply. "Mzee, come in, but don't bring trouble to my daughter." Ezra stepped inside, his body weak, his mind clouded. He had no idea that this night would change his fate forever. As Ezra collapsed onto a wooden bench, he heard soft footsteps. A young woman emerged from the back room, her long hair loosely tied, her eyes deep and unreadable. She was calm, too calm. She carried a small medicine box and knelt beside him. Ebony, gently, opening the box. "You're hurt. Let me help you." Ezra tensed. He was used to fear, hatred, or blind loyalty. But this girl, she wasn't afraid. Ezra, watching her, curious. "You're not scared of me?" Ebony, smiling slightly as she cleaned his wound. "I should be, but right now, I'm more worried about your wound." Her fingers brushed his skin, sending an unfamiliar warmth through him. Ezra, softly, staring at her. "You're strange." Ebony, raising an eyebrow, amused. "And you have many secrets." For the first time in his life, Ezra felt something unfamiliar, something dangerous. It wasn't fear or power. It was something far more terrifying. The next morning, Ezra left, but no matter how much he tried, he couldn't forget her. A week later, while collecting protection money at the village market, he spotted her again. She was standing by a fruit stall, her presence as effortless as the wind. Ezra, grinning as he approached. "Fancy seeing you here, Angel." Ebony, turning to face him, her tone sharp. "What are you doing here?" Ezra, shrugging. "Earning a living." Ebony's gaze flickered to the frightened shopkeepers handing over their hard-earned money to Ezra's men. Her expression darkened. Ebony, coldly. "I didn't think you were this kind of man." She turned and walked away. For some reason, her disappointment felt worse than any wound Ezra had ever endured. He exhaled sharply before looking at his men. Ezra, clenching his jaw. "No collections today. Let's go." And just like that, he made his first real decision. From that day on, Ezra waited for Ebony every morning. At first, she ignored him. But little by little, his presence became normal. Ezra, smirking as she approached. "What are you buying today?" Ebony, rolling her eyes. "Probably an excuse for you to keep following me." Ezra, mock gasping. "I'm hurt. I was just passing by every single day." Ebony fought back a smile, but it was there, and Ezra noticed. One afternoon, on her way home from the market, Ebony was cornered by a group of young thugs. Thug, grinning, blocking her path. "Where are you rushing to, beautiful?" Before Ebony could react, a familiar voice cut through the air. Ezra, stepping forward, his voice dangerously low. "Touch her, and you'll regret it." The men laughed. They didn't laugh for long. Within seconds, Ezra had them on the ground, broken and groaning. Ebony stared at him, breathless. Ebony, softly, voice trembling. Why did you do that?" Ezra, tilting her chin up, his voice gentle. "Because I won't let anyone hurt you." And for the first time, Ebony let herself believe in him. One night, Ezra received a call from his boss, Keto. Keto, laughing cruelly. "Hey Ezra, it's time for you to collect a special debt." Ezra, leaning against the wall, exhausted. "Who is it?" Keto. "Mzee." That old man borrowed money to send his daughter to school. Now, he either pays up, or you bring the girl to me. Ezra's blood ran cold. That girl was his Ebony. Without hesitation, Ezra gathered all the money he had, his savings, his earnings, everything, and paid off the debt. But Keto was a snake. Keto, smirking. If you want me to leave her alone, fight for me in a death match. Ezra had no choice. Days passed, and Ebony noticed Ezra's absence. She worried. Then, one evening, a man approached her, Kwame, Ezra's closest friend. Kwame, urgent, out of breath. Ezra is fighting for you. He's risking his life in the arena. Ebony ran. When she arrived, she saw him, bloodied, battered, but still standing. Ebony, screaming, tears streaming. Ezra. He turned, and in that moment, he found strength. With one final blow, he won. She rushed to him, sobbing. Ebony, gripping his face, voice breaking. Why? Why would you do this? Ezra, smiling through the pain. Because I love you. Days later, the village gathered. Ezra stood before her, wearing traditional attire, holding a simple silver ring. Ezra, kneeling, voice steady but filled with emotion. I was lost in darkness until I met you. Ebony covered her mouth, tears falling. Ezra, will you be my light forever? She didn't hesitate. Ebony, crying, laughing. Yes. And as the village cheered, Ezra knew he had finally found his home.